Hello, I'd like to do a video on the SOG Powerlock multi-tool. I've got a few things to say about this multi-tool. Most of it is complaints, although overall I like the tool. I'm going to start off with the price about this multi-tool. I paid £50 from Heine Haynes for this multi-tool, although that was a reduced price from £80, so that's quite a difference in price. If it wasn't for that difference in price, I probably would never have bought it. Although I had always wanted a SOG multi-tool until I bought this. Now this is my first SOG multi-tool. I have had it for a while, and I've only ever owned 3 SOG products, the other 2 being the SOG Fast Hawk, which is a tomahawk, and I think it's called the SOG Micron, I could be wrong. It's that tiny little slip joint knife, which is honestly a rip-off. I wish I never bought that thing. So overall my experience with SOG has been pretty bad, so I probably won't buy much more SOGs, other than maybe the fixed blades and the tomahawks. Anyway, back to the multi-tool. This is definitely a large multi-tool, or on the larger side. It's bigger than the Leatherman Wave. And the Leatherman Wave is a pretty big multi-tool, and it's about the same size, maybe slightly bigger than the Victorinox Swisstool. Now I will be using both the Victorinox Swisstool and the Leatherman Wave quite a lot in this video to compare it to the SOG Powerlock. I like both of these multi-tools far more than the SOG Powerlock. My favourite being the Swisstool, not that I use it really. In my opinion, they're just too expensive to use, they're too nice. But that's just me. So, it is fairly heavy. You probably wouldn't want this in your pocket all day. Not that I can legally anyway. The blade locks. But I'll get to that shortly. I believe one of the selling points of these SOG multi-tools is these gears. This is supposed to make it open much more smoothly, and well, it opens, is the word symmetrically? I can't quite remember. And what these gears are actually supposed to do is give it double the power when you close them. I'm not entirely sure how that works. While we're talking about the pliers, let's have a look at the machining, if you like. These pliers on the SOG multi-tool is probably some of the most precise I've seen on any multi-tool pliers. These pliers, I believe it's needle nose, are extremely precise. You can see there how precise that is. I've never seen that amount of precision on a leatherman. These are really well finished. And now I don't really know how well they perform because I haven't really used these pliers or much on this tool. I don't really use these multi-tools or knives that I own. I don't really use them that much. I'm more of a collector than a user, although I do have some knives and tools that are dedicated to using. Non-removable or replaceable wire cutters, as you can see there. And SOG very proudly has their name probably stamped in there. That's fairly deep. It has that on both sides. All the tools are on the inside and they're covered by this flap. I believe the purpose of this is to make the tool more comfortable to handle when gripping down. The idea is that it prevents the tool from digging into your palm as much, and that makes sense. Now, if you don't like these, you can just take them off, and they go on back on pretty easily as well. Now, a downside to this obviously is you've got to open these up to access the tools and then close them again. It just slows you down a little bit. I'm not all that bothered about it. I think it's probably a good thing that they included this. I've never seen this on any other multi-tools other than the SOG multi-tools. This possibly may also act as another lock if the dedicated lock fails. Unfortunately, I don't actually know what kind of lock these are. I don't know the name of them. They're very similar to the locks that are on the Leatherman rebar, although these are individual locks. This is not one big lock. So the tool set on this knife, or on this multi-tool even, include a combo edge knife. I think this is actually chisel ground as well. If you see, it's not ground on this side, but it is on this side. I think that's chisel ground. We have a can opener and a small screwdriver. A very aggressive awl or bradawl or reamer punch, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's a bradawl. I'm just going to take this hinge off here. This is very aggressive. It is chisel ground. It is extremely pointy, and I have to say this is a rather tactical looking bradawl because it's almost like a tantal shape. You'll definitely be able to pierce it with this and bore holes with this. You could probably punch through metal with that thing. And on the other side of this, we have, if I can get it out, I believe this is called a C4 spike. This has got something to do with either making C4 or diffusing it. I've honestly not got a clue. This one piece actually takes up 3 slots, if you can see there for the tools. So if this was removed, this one tool, you could add a further 3 tools. But I'm going to get to that later. On the other side of the multi-tool, we have a file, and I believe this is also supposed to be a flat-headed screwdriver. A bottle opener with a flat-headed screwdriver. Another flat-headed screwdriver. And now this is a tool I really like. This is a seatbelt cutter. Now there's one more tool on it, but I've got quite a complaint about it. This is a Phillips driver, or at least it was. I have never actually used the screwdriver, not once. I was just opening up the multi-tool to have a look at the tools and it just broke off. That's absolutely terrible. Now, to me this is not acceptable. It's never even been used once and it broke off. I would imagine any warranty has expired by now. I did phone up Heine Haynes to see if they could help me out. It was past the date for returning it. I believe that's 30 days. But they did offer to help. They said send the tool back and they'll deal with it. I chose not to do that because I assumed that the shipping would be costing more than the part itself. So if ever I do feel the need to have that screwdriver, I'd rather just order a new one. But then again, the same thing might happen to the new one. Now I'm a bit worried that this might happen to the file on this multi-tool. if ever I was to use it as a screwdriver, I'm just going by the colour and the feel of this. It feels a wee bit too possibly brittle, but I don't know. Now I did say I was going to compare it to the Victorinox and to the Leatherman, so I'll do that now. Everyone knows how precise these Swistools are, and the precision on the SOG is actually very close, if not the same, or possibly even better than the Victorinox, and it's definitely far better than the Leatherman Wave. Please bearing in mind, this is just my opinion. I do enjoy all of these multi-tools, not that I really use them. The only one I really do use here is the Wave that just lives in the kitchen cupboard. So another thing I'd like to compare to these other two tools is the SOG, all the tools are on the inside. On the Victorinox, all the tools bar the pliers are on the outside. 4 tools are on the outside on the Leatherman Wave, and the rest are on the inside. When it comes to screwdrivers, Leatherman is the best with this changeable bit. Now, again, with that screwdriver, Victorinox does a much better job. That is a proper screwdriver. That is a really good screwdriver right there. I'm not sure how hard the steel is, or if that will strip or not, but I do. The Swiss Champ has a very similar screwdriver to this one, and I've had no problems with it. Look how thick that steel is compared to that. This almost looks like it's been cast. Why on earth would you cast a screwdriver? You could see, just setting them side by side, this is far higher quality, as is this. Now I love the screwdriver on this Swiss Army knife, this Victorinox multi-tool, and I think it's probably the best out of them all. Although I do think more multi-tools should go in the direction of the Leatherman Wave with the changeable bit. This does have dedicated screwdrivers, but that's beside the point. I think this is the best way to maximise the utility out of a multi-tool. Now this was actually not meant as a comparison video, but it's almost turning into one. Let's revisit the file. I'm really not sure how well that's going to cut. I don't really have much hope for this file. Now, if you're out and about, this is obviously better than nothing. That said, it does look somewhat similar to the file on the Wave, and I do like this file. I've used this file to sharpen axes, and it does that just fine. Now, to be fair, on this side is a diamond file, and this file is excellent for sharpening blades, especially if you don't have a dedicated file to hand. But once again, I think Victorinox is better. Now, I've never used this, although the file on the Swiss Champ is very similar, and I have used that, and it does cut very well. Now the last tool I want to have a look at is going to be the knife. I honestly don't have much high hopes for this knife either. Why would you put a chisel grind on a knife like this? This to me just seems odd. The serrated, the combo edge being serrated and plain kind of makes sense, being on a multi-tool. You want to have the most tools, the most implements on the smallest tool possible. That's the idea of a multi-tool, so I'm not going to complain at that. But I'm not really a fan of the serrations. No, sorry, not the serrations, the chisel grind. With this being a rather smaller blade and being a combo edge, I think that's going to be rather difficult to sharpen, although I've never tried. This is just as sharp as the day I got it, which, yes, it's alright. It's reasonably sharp. Now, these SOG multi-tools do have one thing over every other multi-tool, and that is the ability to customize them. As you can see here, these are held on with nuts. These are fairly easy to take off and switch the tools around, or buy spares, or just buy different ones. And that's actually a feature on these multi-tools. They're designed so you can customize them. Now, I absolutely love that fact. That is absolutely brilliant. As you can see, this multi-tool does not have scissors, nor does it have a saw. Well, I could just take off that C4 spike, which I find next to useless, and replace it with a saw and a pair of scissors. Something I would get function out of. Now, as I stated earlier on in the video, this multi-tool is illegal to carry because the blade locks. Simple solution to that. I could easily take it off without having to grind anything or damage the tool, and I could replace it with something else, such as scissors or a saw. Now, I will say I question the legality of that. I'm not entirely sure if it's legal to carry something with a locking saw or locking scissors or even a locking awl. I'm honestly not sure. I've not seen anything in any legal writing that says you can't, but I'd be cautious of that. But even then, you could just replace it with screwdrivers or something. But then again, would that be legal? Now, one thing I know would be perfectly legal would be this V-cutter, because there's no way in hell could you hurt someone with that. You're not going to kill anyone. And these do have quite a lot of function, I think. This would be good for opening packages. And what this is actually for is cutting seat belts. So it's an emergency tool. Although for an emergency tool, I do say I think it'd be better if it was on the outside. Okay, so I'll wrap this video up. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and see you next time.